We'll start warming up the hips by taking a few big deep breaths. Big deep inhale, long slow exhale, and preparing to lift our right leg. We'll lift and grab around the outside of the knee, settling onto our left leg for balance. If you need to reach over and grab onto a chair to help with balance, feel free to do that. Otherwise, we'll drop the left hand, hold it out to the side, and begin rotations with the right leg, pulling with the right arm and as close as you can to your body. Rotating it out as far as you can to the side, lowering slowly, rotating the knee back into the center and lifting again. Several repetitions here, warming up the hip joint. Grabbing that knee, pull it in tight and balance. Then for our half lotus, we'll bring the heel up to the hip bone. Hold it nice and tight there with the left hand, and then using the right hand, gently pressing the knee toward the floor. The rotation comes through the hip joint though. If you feel pressure or tension in your knee, come back to the center point and take it nice and slowly down toward the floor. Open up the hips, take a few deep breaths, and again, if you need to hang onto a chair, feel free to balance by hanging onto something, or challenge your balance by lifting a hand, and we'll take it into a forward fold here. Keeping the leg trapped in the hip joint, taking both hands to the floor to intensify our stretch. Balancing back up to a standing position, taking one more big deep breath in, and releasing our foot to the floor. Preparing for the same thing on the other side with a few big deep breaths first. We'll bring the left knee up, hang on to the outside, preparing for balance. If you need to hang on to a chair or a wall, feel free to do that here. As we make big rotations, working on both balance and hip opening. Focus on turning the leg out to the side as much as you can, guiding it with your hand. On our last repetition, we'll hold the knee up close, bring the heel to the hip joint, find that balance point, and press the knee toward the floor, rotating through the hip to open up the hip joint. You can continue to press on the leg if you'd like, or take a big deep breath, challenge your balance. Hinging at the waist, we'll take it all the way to the floor with both hands for support. Drop the head, take a big deep breath. And standing up nice and slowly to challenge our balance again, we'll reach up toward the ceiling, relax into that balanced posture, and then we'll drop the foot nice and slowly. Taking one more round of breath. On your exhale, relaxing any tight muscles. And then we'll bring it all the way down to the floor to challenge our half lotus in a seated position. Flex the toes toward the heart, engaging the quads. Big breath in, and then on your exhale, relaxing any extra tight muscles. We'll hug the right knee up into the chest, sitting tall, preparing our spine. And pull that heel over to the hip bone, just like we did when we were standing. We're rotating through the hip outward, pressing the knee toward the floor. And if at any point you feel pressure through your knee, we'll come back to that hip joint, maybe lift the knee a little bit and then try again. Sliding that foot back down, we'll bring the left leg up in the same way, sitting tall, bringing the heel as far up to the hip crease as you can, rotating that left hip joint outward, pressing on the knee if you'd like to. Reach up and bow forward, taking the pubic bone under and the tailbone out behind you, hinging at the waist, and then sitting up nice and tall. Both legs out straight. We'll reset really quick here before we go into our full lotus position. If you can get a good half lotus, then it's fine to try your full lotus position. We'll bring the heel up to the hip joint, cross the other ankle on top, and then sit for a few breaths to open the hips even more. Starting with a couple of breaths And then we'll open up the legs and try on the other side, making sure to balance ourselves out and give each side a fair chance. Bringing that heel up to the hip joint, crossing the other one on top, and sitting and relaxing as much as possible for a few big deep breaths. Thank you for joining me in these hip opening exercises. Namaste.